The next bill that we're going to hear is House Bill 5443 by Representative Vella-Wilkinson of the great city of Warwick, my colleague in Warwick, who does a tremendous job. And Representative Vella-Wilkinson, welcome and please proceed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and members of the Education Committee. House Bill 5443 is an act relating to education, offenses pertaining to schools. This act would provide an exemption to required school immunizations for pupils whose personal, philosophical, or religious beliefs are contrary to immunization and/or testing.
Okay. Yep.
Ladies and gentlemen, the pediatric vaccine schedule has close to quadrupled over the past 3 decades. In the early 80s, children received 3 vaccines for 7 illnesses. In 1986, children received 12 shots or 25 antigens for 8 illnesses. Now, in 2021, children must receive 54 shots or 70 antigens for 16 illnesses. Science and medicine is not a one-size-fits-all, and not every child's body can handle every recommended vaccine or medical procedure of vaccination. Parents should be able to make medical choices that will best suit their family's needs without fearing penalization such as the cost of attending school systems they pay in taxes for their children to attend. I urge you to support House Bill 5443. Thank you.
Are there any questions for the sponsor? Thank you, Representative.
Thank you, Chairman.
Representative, Mr. Chairman, just a quick question, please.
Yes. Representative Beal.
Yes, so my question is that, do you have any data where stating that where schools have there's a lot of kids to enroll based on this?
I'm sorry, Chairman, I'm having a hard time understanding the question.
Could you please repeat the question?
Do you have any data point indicating that we're with this where immunization shot school or district have kids enroll kids or not allow kids to register in a respective districts or school departments?
Representative, I'll be happy to send you all of the links that I have with regards to that information that you requested. I can't recall the information top of mind.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Representative. We have approximately 15 witnesses in support of this bill with no opposition. So I am going to ask all of our witnesses to limit their testimony to 2 minutes, be concise. They are all welcome to send in written testimony, things that they could mention. We'll accept that. And we're going to go right through it. And Mr. Connell, could you let them know when they have like 10 seconds left? So we will give you the 10-second warning. First witness is Salva Alviz. She's not available. So Madalina, Serenada. Please proceed. You have 2 minutes.
Hello. Thank you. Good evening. I was under the impression that I was the expert witness on this bill, and I would have a few extra moments to speak.
That's
Is that
incorrect.
no longer the case?
No, you have 2 minutes.
Okay. It is my hope that by raising concerns that are non-religious, you will afford my family and families like mine alternate reasons to cite why we have concerns about why we have medical reasons and non-religious reasons to be concerned about vaccines. Both the 1986 National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act and the PrEP Act shield all vaccine manufacturers from liability for injury when it does occur. Why is the government disempowering consumers? How does this make any product safer? And why must our concerns over this lack of liability be religious? In 2011, when the Supreme Court ruled to uphold the 1986 National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act, Justices Sonia Sotomayor and Ruth Bader Ginsburg dissented, stating that the threat of lawsuits provides an incentive for vaccine manufacturers to constantly monitor and improve their products. According to Justice Sotomayor, the decision leaves a regulatory vacuum. Where is product liability, and why aren't we as consumers afforded this protection? Yet another non-religious reason to exempt our children out of a vaccine is that the government has paid out more than $4 billion in compensation for vaccine injuries sustained by devastated people, many of whom suffer permanent, lifelong dysfunction and injuries. Vaccine injury is real, and public health officials should be compassionately including injured families in policymaking rather than gaslighting them and categorizing them as acceptable sacrifices for the sake of public health. As of March 5th, over 31,000 adverse events have been reported to VAERS, the Vaccine Adverse Events Reporting System, from COVID cases, for COVID vaccine alone, two-thirds of which were categorized as serious adverse events. Serious adverse events are defined as hospitalization, permanent injury, disability, or death. If the 1 in a million injury were accurate, there should have been 85 reports, and there have been over 20,000 of them.
That is the 2 minutes. Okay. A little over.
I strongly urge the committee, in conclusion, to protect our right to cite accurate reasons for why we have concerns with this program.
Thank you. Are there any questions for this witness? Thank you very much for your testimony. Joseph Daly. Please proceed.
Good evening. Can you hear me, Chairman?
Yes, we can.
Good afternoon. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. My name is Joe Daly. I'm here in support of this bill, and I'd like to thank all the lawmakers there for listening with an open mind. We're really appreciative of the legislators that we have in the state who really fulfill the role of trying to protect those in the most vulnerable communities here for which this bill is in support. The Wall Street Journal had an article in October outlining the over $4 billion that has been paid out to individuals who've suffered vaccine injury. There's really no equivocation that a small subset of people who receive vaccines can be seriously injured. Unfortunately, there is no mechanism to pre-screen most of those people. Unfortunately, it has fallen upon educated parents, such as myself, to make those discoveries. We opted out of some of the vaccines ourselves for our young children due to concerns, and we only found out a few years later that our children have a genetic predisposition that could cause them to be at a greater risk for vaccine injury. We have wonderful doctors who've supported our decisions because we've educated them and they've read the literature, but this is not something that is at the top of the mind of many doctors and, of course, parents. So for those that do know and don't want to have to wait for a medical exemption that only comes after injury, we ask that please support this philosophical exemption so that people have some recourse. Again, this is the most vulnerable communities. We often take a stance for them. Please consider supporting this bill and to be on the right side of history here. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Daly. Are there any questions for Mr. Daly? Could the record reflect that Representative Roberts was here? Representative Roberts, would you like to be recorded in the affirmative? I don't know, she may be having some difficulty. The next witness is Deborah O'Leary, Rhode Island Alliance for Vaccine Choice. Please proceed. Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chairman McNamara, and happy St. Patrick's Day to you and to the rest of the committee. I am calling to be in favor of this bill. I thank Representative Vella-Wilkinson for submitting it, and now the core of this bill to me is the right for everyone to make informed medical decisions and allowing for the philosophical and intellectual reasons as well as the religious. Based on this, it is not only a constitutional right and a parental right, but it is also a human right. Many of the people who call me and email me regarding vaccination law say that they object to one or two different vaccines, and that would be on a philosophical level, especially the hepatitis B at birth, which is a vaccine for something that would not be transmitted in a school setting. So I implore you to add this one word to this bill and make it right for all the parents and others in Rhode Island. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony, Ms. O'Leary. Are there any questions for this witness? The next witness is Amy Gardner, no HPV mandate, Rhode Island. Please proceed.
Hello?
Yes, please proceed.
Hi, my name is Amy Gardner, and I am in support of Bill 5443 for the philosophical exemption, and I just wanted to point out some basic points that, for instance, last maybe 4 years-ish ago, the Rhode Island Department of Health publicly made a statement, which was also reiterated in the Providence Journal, for parents choosing to opt out of HPV vaccines or flu vaccines for the preschoolers to use the religious exemption as a philosophical exemption, which is a confusing message, and I think this bill is a positive thing to give a clearer, more precise avenue for parents to solidify which choice they are making and why. As the Department of Health currently in the state of Rhode Island has the ability to add whichever vaccines they so choose onto the schedule without going through a legislative process, vaccines for things like HPV that are not transferable in a casual classroom environment, parents may choose not to get that is an imperative thing for their family. They may decide that it's just not their thing, and they should have the ability to have a direct and concise way to opt out of choosing a few that they don't wish to have versus having to use a religious exemption, which was stated by the Rhode Island Department of Health to use, and is just a confusing, circumvented way to do that. So I support this bill for informed consent.
To go.
Yep, that was my last sentence. I support the bill, and I hope the committee does too. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions for this witness? Seeing none, thank you. The next witness is Christine Healy Wadek, Rhode Island Wellness Society. Welcome, Ms. Wadek.
Waldeck, hello.
Waldeck.
Good afternoon, Chairman.
Good. Please proceed.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Chairman and honorable members of the Education Committee. Just want to wish you all and all listeners a happy and healthy St. Patrick's Day. May the road rise up to meet you. As evidenced, first of all, my name is Christine Healy Waldeck. I am a parent and co-founder of the Rhode Island Wellness Society. I stand in strong support of H5443, a bill to restore the personal belief exemption. Thank you so much, Representative Vella-Wilkinson, and all co-sponsors for your sponsorship of this extremely important bill. As evidenced by data that is easily accessible on the CDC website, the Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System database, the vaccine package inserts, and the National Vaccine Injury Compensation Program, it is an incontestable fact that these liability-free, sold-for-profit vaccines and the medical procedure of vaccination can cause grievous bodily harm and death. Parents need this personal belief exemption in order to opt their child out of a vaccination for these reasons. In closing, I would also like to very humbly and respectfully request the committee and all listeners, especially those who are opposed to restoring the personal belief exemption, will you please help advocate for a more just and a safer vaccine program? After all, if these vaccines were indeed safe, beneficial, 100% effective for everybody, and we had liability protection, we would not even have a need for this bill. Will you please help advocate to repeal and reform the 1986 Vaccine Injury Act and restore vaccine product liability? Will you please help overturn the PrEP Act, which shielded the same entities and many more from all liability for coronavirus vaccines? Will you please help prioritize people
That's 10
over
seconds coming up.
pharmaceutical and shareholder profits? Will you personally help vaccine-injured families? And by being a go-to person that they can rely on for help finding resources and helping pay for therapies, special
Thank you.
education programs. Thank you so much, and I would welcome your help and advocacy on
Any
those
questions
issues.
for this witness?
Thank
you very much. Rebecca Campbell? Hita Gardner, Health Choice, Rhode Island. Please proceed.
Okay, thank you. My name is Hita Gardner, a Rhode Island parent. Thank you for allowing me to testify in your dedication to Rhode Islanders, and I support page 543 to restore philosophical exemption. Currently, only 15 states allow philosophical exemptions for children whose parents object to immunization because of personal, moral, or other beliefs. And under the National Vaccine Injury Compensation Program, which was established by the 1986 National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act, $4.4 billion has been awarded as of November 2020. Since vaccines are liability-free for manufacturers, vaccines should be a choice. There should be informed consent. Parents should be deciding the best health decisions for their children, not dictated by bureaucrats, politicians, media, doctors, or societal pressure. So where there is a risk, there should be a choice. I was also listening to the news that kids could be given COVID vaccines in early 2022. VAERS is the Vaccine Adverse Event Reporting System. So according to the website openvaers.com, there have been 31,000 reports of adverse reactions from the COVID vaccine as of March 5th, 2021. So there have been too many adverse reactions. So how can this be acceptable by CDC and RIDO when COVID-19 has more than 99% recovery rate and mainly affects the older population? So withholding access to school is duress and violates the Nuremberg Code if vaccines such as the experimental COVID-19 vaccines are required in the future.
That's 10 seconds coming up. 10 more seconds.
Okay.
In
In conclusion, please support H5443 to restore philosophical exemptions in Rhode Island. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Gardner. Any questions for this
Thank you.
witness? Thank you very much. Ms. Kim Bucket. Welcome. Please proceed.
Hi, I'm here to support Bill H5443. My name is Kim Bucket, and I just wanted to read a statement I had written. The choices that we make that involve risk of harm to our physical body, which house our mind and our spirit, those are among the most profound choices we make in this life. So vaccination should remain a choice because it is a medical intervention performed on your body of a healthy person, and it carries risk of injury or death. And while we're all born equal, with equal rights under the law, we're not all born the same. Each one of us is born with different genes and unique microbiome influenced by epigenetics. It affects how we respond to the environment we live in. We do not all respond the same to pharmaceutical products like vaccines. So vaccine risks are not born equally to everyone in society. Why should the lives of the vulnerable vaccine vulnerable to vaccine complications be any less valuable than those vulnerable to complications of infection? And why should people not be free to choose to stay healthy in ways that pose far fewer risks? These state laws are put in place and they become our governing policies, and the doctors don't make the policies, but they must follow them even when they know it's the detriment of the patient, and this is dangerous. In 1947, with the Nuremberg Code, which is defined as a human right, you have the right to be fully informed about the benefits and risks of medical intervention and the freedom to make a voluntary decision about whether or not to accept those risks without being coerced or punished for the decision you make. And informed consent applies to scientific experiments, but also risk taken by a patient under the care of a physician. This also applies to vaccination, which carries risk of harm. We know our family's medical history best. We know if our kids have reactions to different foods or medicines.
That's coming
we
up
want
on
our
10
children to
seconds.
be healthy. And
In conclusion,
the decision about risk-taking rightly belongs to the person taking the risk. When you become informed and you think rationally about the risk that your child may take, your consequence and decision should be your own. Thank you so much.
thank you. Ms. Bucket, are there any questions for this witness? Could the record reflect Vice Chair Barrows is with us, and he would like to be recorded in the affirmative?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
In the affirmative, and on the votes to hold, Mr. Vice Chair?
Yes, Chairman. Yes.
Without objection. Thank you. The next witness? Okay. Kimberly Lowney. Please proceed.
Hi, my name is Kim Lanaway, and I am a constituent in Southern Rhode Island and respectfully ask that you support House Bill 5443. I am a parent of 2 teenage boys, and I feel strongly that we should be allowed to make personal decisions about pharmaceutical interventions. I had an experience at the birth of my oldest child. Shortly after he was born, he had a very high fever on his second day of life and was admitted back into the hospital after I was discharged on the first day. He underwent a spinal tap and many other tests to try to determine the cause of the high fever, and I was later told that it was likely a reaction to one of the vaccines that he had received. As a first-time parent, I was completely unaware and sadly uninformed that he would actually be receiving so many vaccines at birth, and it was a very terrifying couple of days. I want to say that I am in no way an anti-vaxxer. My children have had a majority of the vaccines recommended by their pediatrician, but given that my one son did have a reaction to one of the vaccines, I just think it's vitally important that each person be allowed to make their own decisions and decisions for their children. I thank you very much for your time and support of this important bill. I again request that you support House Bill 5443 and allow parents the ability to decline pharmaceutical intervention based on philosophical grounds. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any questions for this witness? Thank you. The next witness is Sherri Wallach. Welcome. Please proceed.
Hi, my name is Sherri Wallach, and I'm from Portsmouth. I am a mom of 3, and I'm a natural health and wellness consultant. I am in support of Bill 5443, the philosophical exemptions. I personally would like to exercise this right of refusal for several reasons. They include that I philosophically disagree with giving my children vaccines for sexually transmitted diseases. The first one is Hep B. This is given first day of life. This is for needle use and sexually transmitted diseases, and it is not transmittable in school, and my kids are not at risk for getting this. The second one is the HPV vaccine. This is not They are not sexually active children again. And this goes against my deep spiritual beliefs, and I fundamentally disagree that they need this for school. Other states in our country do not require this vaccine. The third one is the rotavirus, not a sexually transmitted disease, but it's not even covered for older children in school. It is actually for newborn and infants for diarrhea. So this, again, is another one that cannot be contracted in a school setting. My doctor does not advise this vaccine, and my first child was injured by this one. So I would love to use that philosophical exemption to opt out of that for my next two children. Now, I know and understand you don't want to see deadly diseases and infections make a comeback. However, many live virus vaccines shed, making them still circulate in school-age populations. So you simply cannot say that they have been eradicated by vaccination only. There are families like mine who work hard and are super vigilant about our health. Putting toxins of any kind can be a serious risk for those of us who do not methylate or process them properly. I have high-risk cancer and autoimmune in my family. I've lost 3 immediate family members to cancer.
That's
so we make
10
steps
seconds.
towards prevention and wellness.
In
It is the
conclusion.
cornerstone of my vision. Of my mission. In conclusion, there is no one-size-fits-all solution to infectious disease control. People have used many things before vaccines came around, and we
Thank you.
absolutely use those. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wallach. Is there any questions for Ms. Wallach? Thank you very much. Jess Jalbert. Please proceed. Welcome, and please proceed.
Hi, thank you so much. My name's Jessica Jalbert. I'm a 40-year-old mother and resident of South Kingstown, and I just would like to have my opinion known on the bill that you guys are reviewing, number 5443, the philosophical exemption bill, that I strongly feel should be reinstated, the personal and philosophical right to have our say of what vaccines and medical pharmaceutical interventions happen in our bodies and in our child's bodies. I'm not against vaccines, but I feel like it's my right to choose when and where and which ones I want, and for myself and my child. To the level that I will do anything to protect my child, as far as, if I do keep my child home from school, so be it. I will do anything in my power to keep my son safe from things that I feel like are harmful to him. Have a personal experience with a family member who was brutally harmed by the Gardasil vaccine. She was a professional soccer player in Europe, and today she has issues with her muscles and nerves and walking, and she's never been the same. So, there's lots of reasons why, but I just wanted to make it known that I strongly support reinstating the philosophical bill to have vaccines as part of something that we can control. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jalbert. Are there any questions for this witness? Thank you. The next witness, Carol Darkis. Welcome, Carol. Please proceed. Welcome, Carol. Please proceed.
Thank you very much, Chairman McNamara. Here's what I'd like to say. Vaccines always come with risk. If death is written in an insert as a possible side effect of the vaccine, there's no question that it would be medical tyranny to override our choice of what vaccines to put in our family members' bodies. Choice and consent based on careful thought, due diligence, and understanding is not only our job as parents, it is our right. Please support this bill to help keep our families safe and our children in school. There have been countless injuries over the years with the vaccine schedule that's quadrupled over the past 4 decades. Not every child's body can tolerate nor manage the chemical stressful impact that these vaccines create at the schedule that is dictated, and one never knows until it's too late if someone's life or some family's life has been permanently harmed or destroyed, and then this leads to more burden on our school systems. Withholding access to school, knowing that the history of adverse events suffered under a growing vaccine schedule, is reckless and immoral and dangerous. According to the Childhood Vaccine Injury Act of 1986, all medical procedures of vaccination are liability-free. If your child suffers a serious life-altering adverse reaction that results in chronic illness, permanent disability, or death, you do not have traditional legal recourse. Bill 5443 would protect families from such duress, discrimination, and potential physical and emotional harm. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
Thank you for your testimony. Are there any questions for this witness? Hearing none, we'll move on to Deborah H. Jennings, Health Choice, Rhode Island. Welcome, Ms. Jennings. Please proceed.
Yes, hello, I'm Deborah Jennings. I live in Middletown, Rhode Island. I'm a registered nurse. And I want to thank Representative Vella-Wilkinson for introducing this and to all the members on the committee and the sponsor. I feel this just provides a greater transparency. It's a greater expansion of the language. It provides a greater clarity and understanding and transparency. Not everybody is aware that the religious exemption is also personal belief in Rhode Island. So they may feel, well, I don't belong to a church and I don't have a clear understanding of God, so I don't fit in here. This way, it's expanding the language that everybody can understand and exercise their right. Well, I understand the motivation for our public health departments to have a greater uptake of vaccinations. I'm not really on board with that. I'm more understanding of a natural process and a natural herd immunity, a natural community immunity that comes about the way it always has. And I believe vaccination actually interferes with that. We're looking at a very serious landscape right now with the COVID-19, and I know you've already told me, Chairman McNamara, we're not talking about mandatory vaccination at that point, but it's very unsettling what's happening because so many people I've talked to have had no informed consent. And
That's 10 seconds. Coming up.
Well, in conclusion, the language with philosophical exemption just expands the whole understanding of it. And I think that's where we need to go, and it's moving toward informed consent.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. So that concludes the telephone witness. And Representative Phillips, do we have any written testimony?
We do, Chairman. We have 7 written pieces of testimony, 2 against the bill and 5 in favor of the bill. We have Becky Breslin in favor. We have biotechnology. Ben Shandhook is opposed to the bill. We have Sherri Wallach in favor of it. We have Jordan Goyette against the bill. Kim Bucket in favor of it. Carissa Moglia in favor of it. And Neldees in favor of it. And those are all the pieces of written testimony we have. And in case people don't know, Chairman, they can find all this testimony on the General Assembly website homepage. Go to the bottom right-hand corner, committee documents, hit Education Committee, and they can find all the written testimony they want to read.
Thank you, Representative Phillips. That concludes the hearing on House Bill 5443.